It takes a kind of courage the gallery never put a light on. You're allowed to turn off the spotlights. You're allowed to leave the good memories lit. You're allowed to forgive yourself. Not because you were perfect, but because you were human. And you always were. The exit is right there. You can put the keys down and walk out. So, if you've spent your life as the lonely visitor in a museum of your own worst moments, if you've called your cruelty accountability and confused punishing yourself with becoming better, I want you to hear this. You were never the failures hanging on those walls. You were the one walking through them, night after night, still trying, still here.
They've been hanging in the dark this whole time, waiting. You're allowed to light those too. You're allowed to stand in front of a good memory and let it count. And past all of it, the exit was never locked. You can walk out whenever you decide you've seen enough.
And once you've turned off one light, let your eyes adjust. Because there are other frames here. The ones you've been walking past for years. The time you were kind when it was hard. The thing you survived. The person you showed up for. The quiet, unglamorous moments you got right. Just one. Let one frame fall into the dark. Don't narrate the verdict. Don't recite what's wrong with you. Just let one of your mistakes be unlit for one night. That's how you learn the lights were always yours to turn off. I'm not going to tell you to tear the whole gallery down tonight. You built it over a lifetime. It won't empty in an evening, and it doesn't have to. But the next time it opens, the next time you find yourself walking those halls at midnight, staring at some old failure, try one small thing. Reach up and turn off one spotlight. It happens. You're human. And you mean it. You would never build a museum of someone else's worst moments and force them to walk it forever. The thought would break your heart. So here's the only real question. Why is the one person you refuse to forgive you? Here's something gentle and true. You forgive other people so easily. When someone you love makes a mistake, you don't frame it. You don't hang it under a spotlight and make them stare at it every night. You say, that's okay. So you shrink. You stay where it's safe. You choose the smaller life, the quieter one, the one with fewer chances to be ashamed. The gallery doesn't just torment you for the past. It quietly steals your future, one untaken risk at a time. And living above a museum like this has a price. When every mistake becomes a permanent exhibit, you stop taking risks. Because trying something new means possibly failing. And failing means another frame, another spotlight, another item in the collection that will haunt you at 2 a.m. for years. All those years of self-punishment, did they make you kinder to yourself? More free? More at peace? Or did they just make you afraid? Shame has never once turned a person into who they wanted to be.
It only ever taught them to hide. And there's a lie at the center of it that keeps the whole museum running. The belief that the harshness is what keeps you good. That if you ever stopped punishing yourself, you'd become lazy, careless, a worse person. So the cruelty feels necessary, responsible even. But look at the evidence of your own life.
Maybe you grew up somewhere love had to be earned, where mistakes were never quite forgiven, where you learned to inspect yourself before someone else found the flaw. The gallery isn't madness. It's a child's brilliant, exhausting plan to never be caught off guard by shame again.
So why would anyone build a place like this? Because somewhere, being judged by someone else was unbearable. And you found a way to get ahead of it. If you condemn yourself first, hardest, before anyone else can, then their judgment can't land. You've already said the cruelest thing. You're braced for it.
Because here's the thing you've never let yourself see. You are not just the visitor in this gallery. You're the curator. You chose these frames. You hung them. You aimed every spotlight. You decided the good memories stay in the dark. No one sentenced you to walk these halls every night. You built the museum, and you've been keeping it open.
I hold myself to a high standard. I don't let myself off the hook. It sounds like integrity. But notice something. The people who are truly at peace with themselves are not the ones walking a midnight gallery of their own shame. That's not accountability. That's something else. And you tell yourself a story about why you do this. You call it being accountable, self-aware, honest about your flaws. You think the constant reviewing makes you a better person. That if you just study your failures hard enough, you won't repeat them. You might even be a little proud of it. Nothing ever gets taken down. There's no expiration. A mistake from a decade ago hangs with the same bright light as one from this morning. You're building a museum with no closing date and no removal policy. A permanent exhibition of every time you were human.
And the collection never stops growing. Every day offers new material. You stumble over a sentence in a meeting, framed. You misread a text and reply wrong, framed. You disappoint someone, even slightly, framed. Lit and hung on the wall before the day is even over.
To a child, to someone you love, you never would. You'd be horrified. You reserve a special cruelty for yourself that you'd never inflict on another living person. And you've done it so long, you've stopped noticing its cruelty at all. And listen to how you talk to yourself in there. Walking those halls, the voice in your head is not kind. It's sharp, contemptuous. It calls you names. It says things like, "Of course you did," and "You always do this," and "What is wrong with you?" Now, imagine saying those exact words to a friend who made the same mistake. It's harder, isn't it? You have to search. And even when you find one, a quiet voice says, "Well, that doesn't really count." You are a world expert on your own worst moments, and a complete stranger to your best ones. Ask yourself something. Right now, could you list 5 things you're ashamed of? Of course you could. They'd come instantly, in order, with detail. The exact words, the exact faces. Now, try to list 5 things you're genuinely proud of.
They're just in the dark, unlit, unvisited. You walk past them every night without even turning your head. It's not that the good moments aren't there. It's that something in you decided only the failures deserved a light.
Here's what you might not have noticed about your gallery. The lights are not evenly hung. Every failure has its own spotlight. Crisp, bright, impossible to look away from. But the good memories? They're hanging there too, on the same walls. The times you were brave, the people you helped, the moments you got it exactly right.
You walk it slowly, hands behind your back, studying each failure like a curator who has memorized the collection. And somewhere in the dark, the exit sign glows. You never walk toward it. Let me show you the place properly. Picture a long, dim gallery inside you. Quiet, echoing. On every wall hang framed scenes, but not random ones. Each frame holds a moment you're ashamed of. The mistake, the rejection, the time you weren't enough. And above each one is a small, bright spotlight, lit perfectly, so you never miss a single detail. You can feel the exact heat of the shame, as if it just happened. Meanwhile, the good things you've done, the kindness, the wins, the moments you were proud of, those you can barely recall. Your memory keeps a flawless record of your failures and loses the receipts for everything good.
You know this place. It opens at the worst times. You'll be lying in bed, almost asleep, and suddenly, you're back there, reliving something embarrassing, something cruel you said, something you got wrong, a conversation from years ago that no one else on earth remembers. But you remember. You remember it in high definition.
A private one, and every wall is covered with framed pictures of your worst moments. The thing you said 5 years ago that still makes you wince. The way you let someone down. The version of you that you're ashamed of. You walk the halls slowly, looking at each one. And you're the only visitor who ever comes. There's a place you go almost every night. You don't tell anyone about it. You don't even really choose to go. You just find yourself there. Usually in the dark. Usually when the day is finally quiet. It's a museum.